This is the disembodied voice of Dan St.Yves, and for today's episode of Talking With, I have the cast members and the director of Workshop Theatre's current production of Always, Patsy Cline. Thanks so much for joining me today, and I just want to go around real quickly, have you introduce yourselves and let me know what your role is in this production.
Oh, wherever you like. Okay,
let's go with Patsy Cline.
Hi, I'm Carrie Hart, and I play Patsy Cline.
And I'm Jane Tetley, and I play her BFF, Louise.
And I'm Cynthia Salterati, and I'm the director of the play.
I'll leave this open on the floor. Either one or all, or maybe each one of you has a point. What attracted you to this play in the first place?
Do you want me to start with that?
Sure, why don't you?
As the director, I guess I've always wanted to do this play. Very, very attracted to Patsy Cline's music, and really intrigued by the fact that even though she only had a very small, short career of 6 years, we're still talking about her. And she's still made quite an impact on the fabric of country music. So I've always been attracted to her that way as an icon. And also, I just love her music. So I was the one who really wanted to do this play, and Workshop was nice enough to track down the rights, and here we are.
And this is one of only 2 sanctioned plays about her life that the estate recognizes. So,
the other one is Just a Closer Walk.
Yeah.
It's been done a few times in Calgary, and this is the first time that this show's been done in Calgary.
And it's kind of nice. It's a whole different take on the story. So if you're not completely familiar, it really gives you a whole other look at Patsy Cline and her life.
Go ahead, you.
Well, I have been singing professionally for more years than I care to remember, and I do a lot of Patsy Cline tunes, and I'm a huge fan of her music. And Cynthia asked me to audition for the role, and I did, and I just about turned her down when she cast me in it because it was such a huge role, and it scared the daylights out of me, but they say you should always do something every year that scares the crap out of you, so...
This was the one.
This was it.
Yeah. Lots of words there.
Yeah, lots of words.
And as Patsy.
Well, for me, again, I grew up listening to Patsy Cline. My grandma, my mom. It was just, her music is so soulful, and it transcends time. It just, I love it. And so when this came up, I had to audition. It's a real stretch for me. I don't sing publicly, ever. So this is my...
You didn't used to sing.
I didn't used to. I guess now I do.
No kidding.
Cat's out of the bed.
And nobody believed
and
that.
it, again, like Jane, it scared the crap out of me because it's such a big role. And I'm so grateful for it. I love it. I love every second of it.
Do a wonderful job in the role, that's for sure.
Thank you.
You do.
Well, let's talk about things from a directing perspective. I've talked to some playwrights that have talked about letting go of their creations after it's taken a whole new life and other people have taken it on. And in the playbill, you comment about how directing is like giving birth, but raising the child to be an independent being, ultimately watching it walk away. You really develop a sense of ownership with something like this.
Well, you do, but again, it's like parenthood too. You have a certain structure that you see your kids become a doctor and they become, an anthropologist, like my poor father went through with me. But you have to love the structure that it becomes, because you're not dealing with people who don't have opinions or people who don't have ways that they feel good on stage. So this is my first time doing this, and we dealt with 3 very strong personalities in this play. The one sitting right here.
Characters. The characters are very, very strong.
Okay, the characters are strong, but so are the people. So to let go is a good feeling.
I know.
It was a good feeling, because what it is really is like a trust thing. Mm-hmm. And you do get to the point where when you first see each other, you don't know if you trust each other. I mean, I knew Jane previously. We'd been in the show together.
We'd never met before.
No, none of us. Carrie had never met Jane or I before.
No.
Wow.
And so, but during the audition process, it was very clear to me that these were my people, and these are the people I wanted to cast into this play. And the chemistry was so clear to me, and it still is on stage. and even off stage now. Except they have parties without me now. They don't even invite me to their parties. You know, I'm just the director, but whatever. They no, it's been
Mom.
letting go.
You're embarrassing us.
I'm sorry. You won't wave at me in the mall either, will you?
No.
But you know, so letting go, I think it is a lot like raising a child in a sense, but you have to love what it becomes, and I do love what it's become.
She loves us.
She does. I do. Okay, don't make me admit things like that on tape. But you know, it was a good feeling to finally, I guess, all three of us to feel that trust that we all wanted to make sure that this child grew up to be what we all could be comfortable with, and I think that's basically what directing is. You know?
So what was your biggest fear as a first-time director?
Failure.
Empty house?
I guess, you know, I didn't really think about it until last night when I saw an audience. And it's funny, you get wrapped up in the rehearsal process. And you get wrapped up in, is this little tiny detail going to be okay or not? And then eventually what you figure out when you first see it in front of an audience is, this is why we did this. Because this music needs to be heard. So I guess my biggest fear was also my biggest realization last night, and that was, I guess, a fear of maybe not being accepted as a play, maybe people looking at it and going, yeah, well, it's okay. But I really got the feeling last night that it wasn't just okay, that it was really something that people were enjoying, loving, and reminiscing, and getting into the music that is so timeless, you know, really timeless. And, you know, we all love Patsy Cline, and we're
right. Yes, Patsy Cline.
Well, not just you, Karen.
Well, you too. We love
And
you too.
now we have to call her Queen Patsy all the time.
Have to. Yeah, it's on my resume.
You have to be okay with us because you know we're kind of like, oh, there's a squirrel right now. We're very easily
Pinball brain.
It's all
But
good.
yeah, I mean, I guess that's the biggest fear is failure, right? You fail to treat people the way that they should be treated. And I've been in a lot of plays where I've had a director. I've had lots of directors, and some of them I loved, and some of them I couldn't wait to see the back of. And I guess my fear was to be one of those directors that people just wanted to get away from. And you know, we had some struggles because, of course, we're very strong people, and we also, you know, pulling back and letting the actors feel comfortable was something that I needed to learn. And so, yeah, that was a fear, and I think I've overcome that. So it's been a real learning experience for me.
Jane, your character is the ringleader of the show, even though the star is technically Patsy Cline. The playbill indicates that this is your first comedy, but you've got some real natural instincts based on the reaction of the audience last night.
Well, it's kind of, they opened Pandora's box and let me out. I usually play very stoic, pragmatic, stuffy women, and that scared me a little bit too, whether or not I would feel comfortable and whether or not I would feel able to just let her go. And Cynthia actually had to pull me back a little bit a couple of times because I was a little over enthusiastic, you know, but it's been so much fun. That scared me a little bit too, being a comedic role, because it's very easy to be stuffy, and you know, so it's the other end of the spectrum, I would suppose.
Well, it's your first time doing comedy, but also in this particular role, you're actually speaking to the audience, which is a tough
Breaking that fourth
vehicle.
wall.
Yeah.
So you're trying to
wasn't
get
so
that.
tough for me, just because I've been on stage performing like in lounges and things like that for so many years. So speaking with the audience wasn't a stretch for me, just because I've done it for so many years. It was the making a fool of myself. A fool I am, and a fool I shall always be.
Amen, sister.
You've got a number of musical theater credits when I looked at the playbill, but you only get a chance to sneak in a tiny little bit of singing in this particular role. Would this be something that would be a little bit more of a musical theater production if there was more singing than just from Patsy? Or would that take away from the story?
Well, actually, I sing more in this show than I ever have before. I always get the non-singing roles because I play, you know, characters. I'm a character performer as opposed to being part of the cast. I sing in the ensembles or whatever, but I've never actually had a role where I sang myself. So it's kind of fun doing a little bit of singing. My family's pretty happy about it.
But you mentioned earlier that you sing professionally.
Just not in community
Theater.
theater. Yeah, the pay's not quite so good in community theater.
Oh, really? They're not paying you guys as much as
What? I want double what you're getting.
Yeah.
Sister, you can
Every
have
day.
it.
There's a fine line between an impression and a portrayal when you're playing a real life legend like Patsy Cline.
Absolutely.
And I really felt that the audience caught on that this was a really good portrayal, and you landed very solidly in that with your performance. Did you feel like you needed to sound exactly like Patsy Cline? But
Nobody will.
no.
Nobody will. And we talked about this, and that was the biggest thing, is nobody sounds like her but her. So yes, it's nice to create that sound and her cadence and whatnot, but I would never sound exactly like her, so why set myself up for that?
Mm-hmm.
So my intention going into this role was to convey her vulnerability, her passion, her strength, her love for what she did, and how she connected all of those things through her music. And I'm hoping I do that for the next 4 nights.
Based on last night, absolutely. There's a bit of an ironic scene in the play where Louise decides to negotiate a better contract for Patsy so she doesn't have to play 4 hours with only a 15-minute break. But your role requires you to crank out over 24 songs in a couple of hours.
Right? My pay. I really need to talk to my manager about this.
Is there some strain? Obviously, there's a ton on your shoulders if your voice cracks or goes or.
Well, that is the beauty of country music and some twang. If there's a little crack, we can work with it. I bend notes like a pretzel these days.
You sure do. Very well.
I try not to think of how many songs I'm singing. I have them broken down into these little bits because it is a lot. And when the role was given to me, I think I sat dumbfounded for about a week. And then I looked at the script and realized what I'd gotten myself into.
Yeah.
But it works out. It just, I don't know. It all happens. I have a tremendous band for support as
Yeah.
well. Mm-hmm. Oh God, I could talk for hours about them.
They really
and how
feel
we-
they really feel the music.
Oh,
Yeah.
they do, and they've been terrific in such a short, condensed amount of time to get as tight as they are, and for us to be together. It's amazing.
I did make a note of that in my review that they add so much of the authenticity to having the live music and the little riffs that are so familiar to all those songs. It really makes it so much more than if you're at a production where they're using a soundtrack or something. So it really lent itself to the credibility of everything.
Yes,
And they're fun, and they are full of it back there.
Somewhat of it. Well, I think that was one of the things that I would not have ever let go of with this play is, it's very difficult to get a band together. And a couple of times I had people suggest, well, let's just use, taped music. And I just did not want to do that. That was just one of the, no, I don't want to do that. And I really am glad that even though we've had a little bit of, a challenge getting band members together,
We've got
they're just amazing, and patience is a virtue. So we got we got them together, and we actually didn't have a full band for this until 2 weeks before we opened.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
And the caliber of the musicians is phenomenal. I mean, to get this
They're
many
all
people.
professional.
Yeah.
Musician.
Well, no,
Yeah.
Craig.
Well,
is
Craig should be.
Well, he should be. He's actually he has a daytime job and he doesn't work professionally as a musician. But Charlotte does. She's the keyboard player, and Sarah, who's the fiddle player, was actually the last one to join, and she came in the week before we opened
last
the
Thursday.
theater.
She was traveling Europe.
Yeah.
Oh my
So it's
gosh.
not even been a week.
No.
Not even a week. She
So
was
last
actually-
night was awesome,
Yeah.
right?
And then Odell,
You would
who
never
plays
have
the
known.
bass, he was one of the first ones to
That's
come
right.
along, and he's been
Yep.
a godsend. And then we got Paul, was the second to last person, our drummer.
Yeah.
So
Paul brings us home every night.
he sure does. Yeah.
Well, it really supplements the whole concept. You've now played a iconic country artist. Is there another vocalist that you might like to play down the road?
Oh, ask me on Sunday. Again, like I said, this is the first time I've taken on something like this ever, and it feels fantastic. But I'm just gonna sit in this for the next 4 days and just ride it out. I don't know. I haven't thought about it.
Well, I've already asked her to come sing with my band during Stampede, so hopefully that will come to fruition.
You never know. Patsy Cline might find herself all over Stampede this year.
Yeah.
That might be
That
some.
would be a good thing.
Yeah, some very good happy timing. Ladies, thank you so much for taking a few moments out of your day here just before our show to come in and speak with me, and continued success with always Patsy Cline.
Thank you.
Thank you
you
so
much.
much.